Yeah, it's a great question when I think of what is it that I'm placing my trust in, and how could I, express that in words? And again, referring back to some things that I said in earlier round, that this ground of being that is so a field of non-change, that is eternal, that is omnipresent. It's just by its very changing nature, for me, it feels very trustable. But as my awakening continues to progress and I really understand that I am that ground of being, it becomes not so much, although it's also a trust in being, but a trust in self. And I'm not suggesting this is, some spiritual traditions have an S with a capital S, self with a capital S and self with small s. Some refer to one to be as being ego. So it's not a trust in ego, but it's a trust in fundamentally who I am. And that feels like so yummy and delicious, because I'm not just trusting some thing that's alive but external, alive but a ground beneath me. It is the ground beneath me and gives me so much stability. But I too am that ground that I am, that is beneath me. So that trust in self is beginning to be lived in a very like a delicious way as my awakening progresses. And I'm really, I'm probably not going to be using perhaps this metaphor quite the same way that Rod did, but I loved this example of origin point, that expression. And that what I was hearing him say was that origin point is that place where, place is again a word to point to, but let's call it the place where that field of non-change and the field of change coexist. That for the human, there has to be that origin point, has to be the field of change and the non-change, because without the field of change, how can there be humanity? And so there's something in me that's also growing to trust, to rest into, to relax into the field of change, and not to try to over control it, to let it flow where it is naturally flowing, not to kind of like, I'm going to create, dams and things like that to block up the field of change. It's like, no, I'm letting the field of change flow. And like as Rod said, if we consider that to be also the origin point from which humanity can emerge, or just the field of, of the relative existence can emerge, then we can grow to trust the field of non-change, and we can trust the field of change. And at the same time, I won't say it right, but that old expression, trust in Allah, but tie up your camel, in the field of non-change, we still do things like tie up our camel or go and check to see if the stove got turned off. So there's that dynamic there of trusting in self with a capital S, trusting in nature or in being in its unmanifest form, and trusting the field of change and trusting my own sense of common sense, that I will respond appropriately in life, and life will then be even more rich and juicy to me because I'm actually engaging as opposed to just an out surrender. I get to play a player here, and that makes it really juicy. So I think that was pretty much all I needed to say, but thank you.
Wow, thank you, Cielle. I love the invitation to trust the field of change. And what stood out for me was the word flow and the other word engagement. So there's something about flow and engagement that is a different way of being. That's, I just feel the juiciness of that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.